Last night was ultimately a loss in Dallas, but all things considered, a fine start for the Blues this season. Tomorrow they open Enterprise Center with a game against Seattle, looking to get that first notch in the win column. I talked with the Athletic's Jeremy Rutherford about all the big questions facing the Note this year. Is this a rebuilding year, a retooling year? Just how would you describe the feel around this Blues season as we enter it?
Yeah, Corey, I think it's funny that every time Doug Armstrong talks about this year, he says the R word. He says retool, rebuild, whatever you guys want to call it. This is definitely a retool. I think we saw that last year, a 28-point drop in the standings. Some changes this season. They're really putting the emphasis on the young players in terms of the future, not dealing them, not trading some of those prospects and those draft picks.
One thing that has to be better is the defense in front of Jordan Binnington. But they return with pretty much the same guys they had last year. What have you seen about why it could be better this year, even though they got the same guys?
Well, I think two things. Number one is these guys have a lot of pride, so they know that last year didn't go very well. The onus has been on the defense, but the forwards need to play better as well. What they've done is they've brought in a new defensive coach, Mike Weber. He's the new assistant coach. He comes from the American Hockey League, has some experience, also played in the NHL. They're going to have a different structure. They're going to pack it in. They're going to cover that slot area heavily, Corey. They didn't do that last year. Worst numbers in the league in terms of defending the slot. We saw how many highlights where the opponents were just wide open, ripping those shots like we used to see from Brett Hull for the Blues, but this was happening against the Blues. So I think it's a situation where they're going to have layers of defense, try to protect that. Maybe Mike Weber's message will get through to these guys.
Lots of talk about the budding tandem of Robert Thomas and Jordan Kyrou. It seems like every other sportscast we're airing a bite about one of those two guys. How big is this year for that pair and what they want to be?
We've been saying for a couple years that these guys are the future, and I think each year you kind of say this is a big year for them, but it can't be any bigger than this year. You're talking about twin $65 million contracts kicking in for these two. And oh, by the way, last year you had a Vladimir Tarasenko around. You had a Ryan O'Reilly around. Doug Armstrong said it recently that O'Reilly and Tarasenko, those were the numbers that were circled. Now it's going to be number 25 and number 18 for Kyrou and Thomas. That's going to be what's circled on the board.
Finally, just how tough is the road to the playoffs for the Blues? The Stars and the Avalanche certainly look like the cream of the crop in the Central, but there might be some wiggle room there. Just, is it realistic to expect the playoffs this year?
Yeah, we'll put it this way. Typically, for the past 10-plus years, Doug Armstrong has said, hey, we want to win. We're a contender, and we're in that mix. And when I asked him, are you a playoff team this year? He said, you know what, I think I like third place. So I think he's kind of keeping those expectations realistic. You have a team in Dallas and a team in Colorado who are the cream of the crop in the Central. Can you beat out a Minnesota, a Winnipeg, a Nashville for the third place? I think what he's saying is it's going to be easier to get that third place spot in the Central Division than it would be to get a wild card spot where you're competing with some of those Pacific Division teams. So I think that they're better than some of the projections out there, 80 points, missing the playoffs. I think they're in that conversation for third place or one of the wild card spots.
That is the Athletic's Jeremy Rutherford. Follow him for all of your Blues news. We will be back with more 5 on Your Sideline.